Hello, welcome back to In the Corner with Christian, and hope you are keeping safe and well and staying positive, more importantly. So, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I like to come forward and share something around mental health, a strategy you can use to move yourself forward and ultimately move those difficult challenges out of your way and feel better about yourself and what's going on in your own life. And this week's no different. However, it is in one way. Now, this time last week, we received a phone call. And that phone call was to make us aware that our son had unfortunately relapsed and they found 7 new tumours after him having finished chemo back in May. Now, where do we go from there? Why am I doing this? So the thing here is when I first got that news, when my wife first got the news, we all do the usual. We go into ourselves, we look at ourselves and go, why me? Why again? Why us? And we ask a lot of why questions. And the fact is they're not framed very well. They're not questions that's going to lead us to an answer. All they're ever going to do is lead to pity. So why me? Poor me? Me again? These sort of things. And the reality is, when it first hits your desk, yeah, you want to go down that route. I wanted to stand there and go, for fuck's sake, we're here again. Why us? But it doesn't serve me. It doesn't give me anything. It doesn't give me any answers. All it does is generate frustration inside of myself. It generates emotions. And then those emotions aren't dealt with, so they just simmer away and boil over the pot eventually. And so where we've done differently this time, we've looked at it and we've understood that we've got a challenge, and this is a challenge that we accept, but B, we're going to go and fight. But it's our perspective that's changed the outcome or the way we're going about this battle. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody will have those, as I call it, the in the corner moments where it literally feels like everything has closed you in, put you in that corner, and you've got no way of getting out. The only way of doing it is to fight. And for those of you who've done enough of it, if you like, you're fed up of fighting, so you put that bag away now. You don't fight. But that's the physical aspect. What I'm talking about here when I'm talking about the fighting the person is the battle ahead is the mental fight as well. So when this challenge came back on our desk, because it's not the first time we've been here, you have to go back down the motions of repositioning the battle in your mind, but don't come at it from a victim mindset. So you've heard the stories of, I'm paraphrasing here, so please don't quote me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't quote me. There was, going back years and years and years and years ago, led to battle, all gone on ships. They've sailed over to this country. Now, the captain or the conqueror or the king of the time decided to burn the boats. Now, the reason they did that is by burning the boats, they had no form of retreat. So the only option was forward, taking that battle on. Another thing I like to say to people, I talk a lot about this, is are you a bison or are you a cow? Now, let me ask you this. Are you aware of how a bison tackles a storm? And are you aware of how a cattle battles a storm? So cows, typically, what do? Storm's coming over, it's coming left to right. Cows are over here. When the storm hits, the cows just hunker down, sit down in it, and they just wait for it to pass. Other animals will run away from the storm. Humans do the same. When we have these challenges, we try and run away, but inevitably that storm will always catch up to you. And if you're running that way and the storm's going that way, you're spending longer and exerting more energy in that storm. The bison's different. The storm's coming left to right. The bison sees it and decides, I'm going to run at it. I'm taking this storm head first. Now, whilst the bison's running this way and the storm's coming this way, yeah, inevitable, they're going to meet. But the benefit here is by taking that battle, by taking and facing that storm head on, the bison gets through that storm a lot quicker. It exerts a lot less energy. And they also get to the good times much quicker as well. So for me, I started to look at this and go, okay, so we've got this challenge, we've got this battle. Can I run away from it? No. Can I accept it and do something about it? Yes. And what are the things that I can do to help me during this challenge, during this storm that's come over our heads? Now, the very first thing is I decided I'm going to make sure I maintain my focus. I maintain that peace, and I keep the energy as positive as I can. Now, don't get me wrong, there are going to be days when I'm a bit lower, but that's where it's about leveraging on people that are around you, having a great network of people that can lift you up in those down times. Another side of this is, you're fighting that battle, and as I said, we've got this one, and the wife and I have had some brilliant conversations on how we're going to go about moving this forward. And one of the things we've actually decided is that we are going to document our journey as parents going through this, because from our own experience, in the first time we went through this, is there isn't much guidance for parents that are going through. Yes, there's loads of support for children, and our son will be getting everything given to him. But as a parent, they don't give you much on how you should negotiate these challenges, how you should feel, and what you should do about it. So this is where this one's a little bit different. I want to speak to the parents out there. Now, if you're anything like my wife, she blames herself for the way the children behave. If they behave in one way, it's her fault. It's a reflection of us. She takes responsibility. She takes it personally. I'm a dad. I just see kids being kids, and that's the way I leave it. But when this came on and when this first happened, it was very natural for my wife to find it very difficult. And this made it very difficult for me to be able to communicate with her, because I wasn't sure how to go about this. And this is where the one thing I just want to share with yourself is, whenever you're going through a difficult challenge, if you're going through it as a family unit, initially you all want to deal with it in your own way. Now, for me, as I said, my background, I just want to shove a gum shield in and go and fight. That's my way of dealing with things. Now, my wife is the complete opposite. She likes to sit there, take time to process, take some time away, get a reflection, and get a new plan moving forward. But what I actually didn't realise is the importance of early day communication. So this is where it started to impact myself. I would go out, get angry, fight, do my stuff, getting all my energy out, going for runs at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was doing all these things, and as I mentioned in previous videos, got to the point where I was burning out. Now, that was my way of handling the situation, but what it didn't do was handle the mental fortitude. So yes, I was exerting the energy out of my body, but my brain was still in overdrive. And I started to have these constant thoughts coming through my head, flipping through. It was almost like a visor just getting pulled down constantly. And what I'd failed to realise is that I wasn't talking with my wife. I was talking at her. I became very instructive, and I hadn't recognised that it was making her feel more uncomfortable. And so, again, when I look at that, because I didn't understand these things, I started to take it as it's something I was doing or I hadn't done, and it wasn't me, it was her. And it very easily gets into this nitpicking position where, well, I'm doing this and you're not doing that, and you're not doing this and I'm doing this. It doesn't fucking help, you guys. Let me tell you that now. So the very first thing I'll always say to people, if you're a parent and you're going through difficult times, sit and converse with your significant other. Get an understanding of what they want. Get an understanding, more importantly, of what they need, because they won't necessarily know what they want, but you can guarantee there's things that they do need, and they will know what they are, whether it's regular ability for them to go and have time out so that they can go and, as we call it, regulate, so they can go and de-stress, find ways of doing that, and find what that is for you. It's different for every person. But make sure that you're allocating time for them to regulate, but then also make sure you're allocating time for yourselves to prioritise yourselves, because we spent 2 years prioritising our son, and rightly so, as parents, that's what you will do. But our relationship and our marriage started to suffer as a result because we were neglecting it, and we were only focusing on one thing. So if you are in that position, please, please, please speak with your significant other. Understand that it's okay to not be okay, and I'm here to support you. But also try and find a few things that they need from you. And if it's just small things that are going to offload what they do on a daily basis, so they've got more energy to focus on what they need to, that's maybe where you start. With me, it was just doing simple things like doing more washing up around the house, doing the washing, getting things done so that my wife didn't have to. And that meant that she had more time to focus on what she needs to do for herself and bring herself back to a position. And I'm talking here from a man's perspective, vice versa, women, If you have a husband that's like me and he's a bit hot-headed and he likes to stick his head down, chin in, and off they go, check in with them, pull them down. Don't allow them to run with their anxieties, because that's what will be driving it. Don't allow them to run into routine, because what that's going to do is absolutely obliterate everything that you've spent time building for how many years as a relationship and as a couple. So, yeah, I'm not a relationship counsellor. I have nothing to do with relationship counselling. I'm just sharing purely from my own experience. But that was actually as a result of neglecting my wife and my relationship with her. That's where my mental health took the biggest kick. I had obviously the challenge was what we were going through, but my mental health really took a kick because the person that I loved the most wasn't reciprocating. And it wasn't because they weren't reciprocating, it's actually because I wasn't doing things to help them. And all I'll ever say there, guys, is, the relationship is what brought you together. The children, you're there for your children. It's not easy. But believe me, far too many people quit rather than fight. And that's where I do believe sometimes you have got to fight for what's worth. And in this case, I would always say, A, it'll never help the child in the middle. B, yeah, if you've come to the end of a relationship as a relationship, allow that to be the case. But don't break up just because of a situation that's putting stress on you. Because the reality is, if that situation wasn't there, you probably wouldn't be acting those ways. So it's understanding what's going on within each individual and just approach it in a way and enable each other to converse with each other, confess and be honest. And I'm sure you'll be able to get through it. Not sure if this has been much use to you guys. Hopefully it has. Another one's coming out on Sunday. But please keep working on yourself. Focus on the language you're using, because that will really change and determine how you feel about yourself. And then start looking at those little actions you're taking behind, and it'll all start coming together. This has been another episode of In the Corner with Christian. Take care. Love you all.